had a beautiful 3-day camp with a very inspired group of young devotees.
Young? Thanks.
You are eternally young. And now we're here with Adikesha Prabhu, Ananta Krishna Prabhu, Ati Sundari, Devadasi Bimala Didi, the best devotee in the world. She's on the altar serving their lordships. And so our topic for today is Śrī Upadeśāmṛta, suggested by Ananta Krishna Prabhu. And Ati Sundari, she's very interested because you don't know so much about Upadeśāmṛta, right? So you're very curious.
Yes.
So Upadeśāmṛta, it is a book by Śrī Rupa Goswami, who's one of the, you know about the 6 Goswamis, right? So he was, Rupa Goswami, he was one of the 6 Goswamis. He is also, we consider him to be the head of our Sampradaya, or our lineage. So because of that, he's the person that Mahaprabhu chose to be his successor, you know, and to lead his movement into the future. That's
That's a good one.
for the benefit of posterity. And you know, Rupa Goswami, he was born in East Bengal. Because actually it's nice to know something about the life of the author, isn't it? So Rupa Goswami, he's the younger brother of Sanatana Goswami. So Rupa, Sanatana are brothers. They both wrote very important literature for our lineage. And then their nephew is Jiva Goswami. He was also one of the 6 Goswamis. So those 3 were related. And they were all born in East Bengal, what is now Bangladesh. India was divided. And Rupa and Sanatan, they were born into very, highly positioned Brahmin families. You know, so they had a high position in Hindu society. But because they were so brilliant and so qualified, they were recruited by the Muslim Mughal ruler at the time, Nawab Hussain Shah. Because India, right, was under the Mughal Muslim rule at that time. And so this Nawab Hussain Shah, he recruited them to work for his government, forcefully, like threatened them to work for him. Because he could see how brilliant they were, how qualified they were, so he wanted them to help him in his horrible mission of, some of the Muslim rulers were friendly to the Hindus and others were more inimical, more unfriendly. And this ruler was very, he was atrocious, he was terrible. He, destroyed Hindu temples and deities and all kinds of terrible things. And then he forced Rupa and Sanatan to work for him. And they had very high positions in his government. They were the prime minister and finance minister. So he treated them well. He paid them very well, and they had all material comforts. But he was more or less holding a gun at their heads and forcing them to. They were like in a cage of luxury, you could say. I'd always been a little curious, like how is it that they agreed to work for him? And I read in one place that because they don't care about themselves, but what he did, the Muslim ruler, is he threatened some of their family members. Kind of gangster style.
Yeah.
Like they may not care about getting shot themselves, but if you threaten their relative, then that's something else. Right? So it was like that. So anyhow, they were forcefully working for this Muslim ruler. At a certain point, they were. You've heard of it.
I've heard of it.
It's the 8 verses about the holy name. We can talk about that another time. So Mahaprabhu gave these few verses, but then he empowered, particularly Rupa and Sanatan, to put his message into writing. And that means his teachings of divine love, and the importance of Harinam and the holy name and other things. Of course, these aren't like new things that he made up. They are discussed in the ancient scriptures. But Mahaprabhu was, but the scriptures also, they discuss many different things, right? And so, although these teachings were discussed within the scriptures, Mahaprabhu wanted particularly to emphasize the teachings of divine love, the importance of kirtan and these things, and to present that to the world in a systematic, scientific way, in a way that people could read and appreciate, respect what this is, and understand in a practical way and a philosophical way, how to make real progress. So Rupa and Sanatan were empowered by Mahaprabhu to do that. And so they lived these extremely simple lives in Vrindavan, writing, eating hardly anything, living under trees, and then their energy was focused on writing, right? And so they wrote very important texts, and some of those texts we read and some of them we don't read. Right, so particularly in the case of Rupa Goswami, some of the books that he wrote, they're kind of dealing with more intimate subject matter, like the relation, like lovers' relationship between Radha, Krishna, and the gopis, things that we, at our stage, we don't, focus on, so much. So we don't read all of his books, but then some of them are relevant for us. And Upadeśāmṛta is one of them. It's actually only 11 verses. It's actually a small little book. But this is an expanded edition with many different commentaries. But it's actually very short. And Upadeśāmṛta, Upadesh means instruction, Amrita means nectar. So nectarian instruction, sweet instructions. And so it's a pretty phenomenal work, because it's so short. Because Rupa Goswami wrote other books, which are very long, like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu's another very important work that he wrote, which is, you could say, more or less is discussing the science of devotion, discusses different types of relationships with Krishna, and that's quite an extensive book. But this book is so small. It's only 11 verses, but Rupa Goswami includes so much within it. So it's like he starts from the very, very, very beginning, and then there's some development within the verses, right? There's some. So the beginning verse is starting with the absolute basics. And then he's going, then there's this progression throughout the verses. And then the last few verses are dealing, are dealing with, the glories of Radharani, Vrindavan, Radha Kund, Govardhan, like that. So there's this progression of, growth, within these verses. And which is very nice, because it's like he's giving you real building blocks for making real progress, and showing you how can you get from here to up here, and giving very practical advice. So the first verse is just dealing with, you could say, us as human animals.
Living off instinct.
Living off of instinct. dealing with our bodily urges. Right? So like that's how basic, it is. He starts from like ground zero. He starts from zero, and only 11 verses he goes up to the highest point. So, and we can also mention like this is a pattern that we see in the writings of our teachers, that they'll start with this point of the need to take a shower. Say, like first there must be some cleansing process before you can get to that really high point. First you have to clean your heart, right? Clean the temple of your heart. So in Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtakam also he starts like that, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Clean the mirror of your heart, right? And so Rupa Goswami also is starting like that. First clean the room, clean the temple, clean your heart, and then you can invite the Lord. It's not a light matter. You're inviting, your beloved Lord to live within your heart. It's not a small thing. It's not a small thing, right? So we have to clean that space, and it's also like giving this like realistic point of reference. Like, you want to go to Vrindavan, you want to become a devotee of Krishna. Don't think that's an easy thing, Like, let's check in with, like, let's have a reality check, Like, oh yeah, I still struggle with my mind. Oh yeah, I'm still controlled by my belly, by my genitals, by anger, by all these things, Like, so, not that, like, we're being shamed in this verse, but it's just, like, let's be real. Because it's very easy to get carried away in your devotional practice and feel like, oh yeah, I'm flying high with Krishna and Vrindavan. It's all wonderful, Yeah, I'm a pure devotee. It would be very easy to think like that, But this verse is just giving us that reality check. Oh no, you're still here, and that's okay. But like, if you're going to progress to the next level, you need to first understand what level you're on. There is a science to all of this. If you want to go to, you can't just imagine you're in grad school, when you're really in kindergarten. We can get you to grad school. Like, there is a process. We can get you there, we promise. But you need to go step by step. You can't just put on the pretty clothes, put on the graduation outfit, and yeah, that's it. Or make a fake certificate. So it's just like giving us that reality check. Like, this is where you are, and let's move on from here in a step-by-step way. Like, we can do this. So, Vacho. So this verse is mentioning these, what I refer to as the 6 urges. Right. So there's Vacho Vegam means the urge to speak. Do you ever notice that? Sometimes you say things and you think, why did I say that?
All the time. Yeah.
Or maybe you notice other people saying random things and you think, why did they say that? Because it's a thing that we all got. And it's called Vacho Vegam, means the urge to speak. So it's like it's okay to think things, right? But there doesn't have to be that automatic transfer from brain to tongue. Like, we can check it. Like, okay, you can just stay in my head. You don't need to come out. So Vacho Vegam, the urge to speak. It's a basic human urge that we all have, that we all struggle with. So it's nice to be aware of it, right? And to learn that we can we do have the power. We got the power. We can keep it in there. Vacho Vegam, Manasa, Kroda Vegam. And there's the urges of the mind. The mind may just want to, you know how the mind can just be very whimsical and very random. Oh, I feel like doing this. Oh, I feel like doing that. Oh, no, over there. And then like in half an hour, it could be like 10 different things. Right? And nowadays, right, because we have all these devices, it's even harder, right? Because we can cover a lot of ground in 30 minutes. You know? We can order $100 worth of Amazon. we can scroll through the latest Netflix, whatever they're called, shows. We can like 100 different posts on Facebook and Instagram or TikTok. You probably use TikTok, right? Yeah. Is it TikTok? Yeah. You know, like we can do. Our mind can travel like 1,000,001 places in half an hour. So it's more difficult than ever to control the urges of the mind. Then there's the urge of anger, right? And that's often related to an urge of the mind. Like we want something, we want to do something, we want to get something, whatever it is, and then we don't get it, then we become angry. So that's another one. Right? We might shout at the people around us. Why didn't you give me what I wanted? Or whatever it is. So Vacho Vegam, Manasa Kroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam. Now this is the urge of the tongue. So it's interesting, there's a distinction made between the urge of speech and the urge of the tongue. The urge of the tongue refers to our desire to taste. To taste so many different things. Taste this and this and this and all these different flavors. The tongue is very, very difficult to control. Very difficult. You know, sometimes, you know, and it's interesting too, because then another urge is the urge of the belly. Right. And I like that Rupa Goswami's made a distinction between the urge of the tongue and the urge of the belly. Because like, we may be able to control the urge of the belly. The urge of the belly is like to keep eating, like in quantity. But in the urge of the tongue, you may just have like a little bit here and there. You know, you may not like put on weight, but you're really exercising that urge. You could try like 20 different flavors of ice cream, or 20, especially here especially in America. But the rest of the world is catching up too. You know, if you go to buy potato chips, be 50 different flavors of potato chips. Right?
It's a whole aisle just for chips.
A whole aisle just for potato chips. Yeah. So again, in this age, it's very difficult to control these urges.
I got a few favorites.
It's really funny, you know. There's the crinkle cut, and there's like the flat cut, and then there's the natural cut.
There's a wave.
There's the wavy one. There's avocado, fried in avocado oil, fried in olive oil,
baked,
fried in sunflower, baked. Yeah. And we're just like scratching the surface here.
It's not even the flavors.
And then once you get past the 100 different potato chips, then there's the corn chips, and then there's all the other ones. So, yeah, it's difficult. So there's the urge of the tongue to taste many things, many different flavors, and sometimes it can happen at random hours. Right? Give me midnight, and you just need to have that scoop of ice cream. You need to have it. Yeah, we all go through it.
I like to keep it sweet in the fridge just for that. You know? It's for the right time. Our dad was the same, huh? He always had a sweet in the fridge.
For midnight.
Yeah. Midnight hour hits, you like need something sweet.
So Vacho Vegam, Manasa Kroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, or Udara Upashta. So urge of the belly, and then the urge of the genitals. We won't go into that because we have underage persons. But that earnest attraction, that strong attraction between. Anyway, we won't go into that.
How old is this book?
How old is this book? About maybe 450 years, something like that. 500 years, something like that. Yeah. So urge of the sexual tendency, which is, so the Śrī Upadeśāmṛta explains it in one place. He says a very powerful universal flow. He says we must be very careful to try to stay aloof from. It's very, very powerful. It's at the foundation of this world because everything comes from that, right? Mm-hmm. From the plants and the bees, and humans, and everything's coming from that, right? So it's a very powerful current that we try to keep at bay. Because if it takes you over, it takes you over. It can just consume you and take over your whole life. So it's an energy we have to be careful with, right? And then etam vegam yo vishaheta dira sarvam apimam sashisha. Oh yeah, and the urge of the belly, we didn't discuss that much, but yeah, we all know about that. You eat too much, right? Like actually you ate enough, but your belly just wants more. What did you say?
I think she may be having RT soon.
No, RT's finished.
Did it?
RT's finished, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we all know what that's like, right? We eat. I think I eat too much, like 90% of the time, and then you don't digest properly. You're heavy. You don't sleep well.
Yeah.
And it hinders your spiritual practice, right? Because you're clouding your consciousness. You're weighing down your system. So Bhagavad Gita also mentions this. To eat not to eat too much, not to eat too little, right? Not to sleep too much, not to sleep too little, but to find that middle path, right? This is also known as Yukta Vairagya, proper renunciation, so that everything is adjusted perfectly, just so, just as much as we need, not more, not less. And so our relationship with food, must try to base it around that principle, right? To eat what is good for us in the proper amount, at the proper time, and all these things. And of course, our, the spiritual current is independent, right? The spiritual current is beyond all of these things. By which I mean to say we can still make progress. Without being able to, because actually we can't really follow these things, right? So luckily, we're approaching a land of mercy, and the spiritual plane is very powerful and independent of all these things. But at the same time, if we can try to follow these advices as much as possible, it will make it easier, right? We're creating less resistance. Right? So it will make our path easier, right? In moving towards Krishna. So then the verse is saying, Etam vegan yo vishahita dira, that who can tolerate these 6 urges, sarvam apimam pritivim sashisha. It says the whole world can become their disciple. So that also tells you how rare and difficult it is, right? To be able to follow this thing. You can be the guru of the whole world. You can follow these things. But the main point he's making is that it will help you in your spiritual life if you can follow these things.
But that's according to regulations too.
What did you say, Prabhu?
It's according to regulations. People regulations. Like they say don't eat much. Everything like that. Because if you put it, if it's a river, you put a block in the river, and the water won't go. It creates an overboard energy that can go and destroy everything. So we have to really regulate and be very vigilant.
Yes, vigilant. That's a good word. Be vigilant about these things.
Yeah.
At least aware. If we can't reach vigilance, at least awareness. Oh, this is going on. Okay. Oh, my mind's taking me here. Oh, my belly's taking me here. Oh, my tongue is taking me here. If we are aware, that is also good. And then what we do is we cry out for mercy. Oh, Krishna, look at my condition. Look at my condition. I really did. Wow, what a beautiful garden.
Śrī Upadeśāmṛta ki
then we can call for mercy, right? That, oh, this is I cannot control these things, right? All of my senses are pulling me in all directions, right? Obsession, yes. That also comes. So just to be aware, that is very good. And that will also bring us to a point of humility, which is the best beginning in our spiritual life and the best foundation for our spiritual life, right? Humility. Because humility attracts mercy. And mercy is the magic ingredient. You look like you have a question.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could describe what humility is.
Humility. There are different types of humility. And just to be aware, to have an honest awareness of our condition of helplessness, that is humility. Right? Just to have because the ego, when we're under the influence of the false ego, it's like we're zoomed in on our own little existence, and everything's just about us, right? It's a very funny thing, sometimes our conversations can become really stunted. It can actually be difficult to just have a normal conversation sometimes, because it's like we relate everything back to us. We'll take it, and the thing is, ego has different forms. There's also an ego-based type of humility. For example, I don't want to name any names. I'm just thinking of something the other day where it really jumped out, but then I would name names. I don't want to do that. But okay, let's just say something really silly, you notice the flowers are wilting a bit, and you mention to your friend, oh, the flowers are a bit wilted, and you're just making it as an observation, right? But it turns out it was that person's job to water the flowers, right? Then they'll go into a whole self-defense thing. Oh yeah, I know I was supposed to do that, but this happened and that happened, and what do you expect? I'm not a superhuman. I was just mentioning the flowers are wilted. I wasn't attacking you, little example.
Okay.
Everything becomes self-referential. Everything relates. It's not let's just admire the scenery, Or oh, the apple tree is giving such wonderful apples this year. Oh yeah, it's because I did this and this and this and this and this. The ego just wants to bring everything back to us, But when a person with no ego is just observing things, yes, the apples are so wonderful, You know, it like there's a big distance between themselves and those apples, right? They're thinking God created me, Krishna created these apples. How wonderful Krishna is, right? And then they'll forget even, you know, like what they did. Like that's not, they don't even make that connection because the ego's not there, and they have this like zoomed out view of things, right? That there's this thing that happened over here, and I'm way over here, and here is like, you know, Mother Earth. Krishna, Indra, you know, all the devas, the worms in the soil, you know, like all the insects, you know, that are all the bees that are pollinating the flowers. Right? There's like 1,000,001 things between us and that apple, right? You know, but when the ego's like, oh yes, because I use this fertilizer and I watered it every day, and therefore, and I bought the seed. Don't forget that part. I paid for that seed with my paycheck, and I worked hard for that paycheck, and it's all about me.
The construction of the ego started.
Yeah.
But the development of the ego started when we were a little kid in our family, trying to protect us and don't do this, don't do that. Be careful! Inside. So we have a lot of apprehension, which is transforming into fear. Right? And that fear is starting to see things fuzzy. Be careful with this, be careful.
Right.
I was lucky that I took a lot of risk. And I wasn't obedient. But I don't recommend it.
So the false ego has this nature of like just narrowing our vision. Like it's like this tunnel vision. We're living in a very narrow reality. But with someone who has humility, they like real humility. They have this like zoomed out view of things. They have a broader awareness, and and so they realize their own smallness. That's one point, right? There's 8-point-something billion people in the world, and everyone's having their experience. You know, like why is it all about this one little point of reality? You know, there's a lot, and that's only this universe. What to speak of all the other universes, and what to speak of Krishna's universe, right? So like there's a lot going on, you know? and I'm one little microscopic point here, right?
And seriously, Ramada say, to make a line you need millions of points, and to make it solid you need millions of lines.
Right, right.
So how small we are.
Yes. But it's important to understand this is not, you know, low self-esteem. You know, this is not insecurity. This is not having inferiority complex. Not at all. It's actually just having a clear awareness of the situation. Right? And you know, this incident happened that involved 10 people. I'm not just seeing my point of view, but I'm seeing the point of view of the 9 other people that were involved. You know, and how can we, you know, come to a resolution that's good for everyone, not just for me? It's just about having like a clear awareness of things. You know,
awareness and appreciation for reality, the beautiful, right?
Yeah. That's going to another level. Yeah. Then realizing your relationship with the Lord. And the thing is, like, there's all, you know, having humility that doesn't contradict having confidence and optimism and all these other things, right? Because we also feel our connection with the Lord, right? So there's, you know, we're all pretty important in that sense too, because we have, why do we count? You know, because we're also sparks of that divinity. We all are ultimately loving servants of the Lord, loved by the Lord, and exist to love the Lord. It's a reciprocal thing. So our values is determined on that point, that we have a relationship with the Lord. So there's also, this, confidence that comes with that too. Right? So yeah, I would say, having that awareness of our own condition, and that will also move us to take surrender, to surrender, to take shelter of the Lord and His divine agents. Because we're looking honestly at ourselves and saying, oh, yeah, I need help. That's just an honest assessment of the situation, that I need help. And so then where I need shelter, where do I find that shelter? And Śrī Upadeśāmṛta, he pointed this out, that, because there are these, if you've heard of the 6 limbs of Sharanagati.
I've heard of them, but I don't know them.
Okay, so there are these 6 limbs of surrender, and they're mentioned in different places in different orders, right? So in Śrī Upadeśāmṛta's book, Prapanna-jivanamrita, he discusses these 6 limbs of surrender, and he puts it in one order, which is the more conventional order that you find in the scriptures. But then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has a song book called Sharanagati, and he presents these 6 aspects of surrender in a different order. And of course there's unique purpose in both of these cases, right? And so there's a place where Śrīla Upadeśāmṛta is talking about this, and he's explaining why Bhaktivinoda Thakur did it this way and appreciating it. So the way that Bhaktivinoda did it is doinya means humility. He put humility first in his order. That he puts humility as the first quality. And then the next one he put is Atma Nivedan, which means self-surrender. So doinya, Atma Nivedan, humility, self-surrender. Goptritre Varan means embracing the Lord's guardianship. Avasya Rakshibe Krishna Vishvasa, having confidence in the Lord's protection over us. Avasya Rakshibe Krishna Vishvasa. Bhakti Anukula Macha, then accepting what is favorable for our life of devotion, rejecting what is unfavorable for our life of devotion. Is that 6? I feel like I'm missing. Doinya Atma Nivedan, Avasya. I'm missing one. Humility, self-surrender, confidence in the Lord's protection, embracing the Lord's guardianship, rejecting what is unfavorable, accepting what is unfavorable. Those are the 6. So in these first 2, Śrīla Upadeśāmṛta pointed out, humility is the starting point, and when you have this feeling of humility, then what will happen? You'll naturally seek shelter. You will look to take shelter somewhere, Atma Nivedan. So it's like an intuitive movement. So then you will approach Guru and Vaishnava, you'll try to find some guide, right? So humility is very powerful for us. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, there are different types of humility. Of course, there's just mundane humility, which is oh, I'm so ugly and I'm so fat and I failed my exam. That's just stupid humility, That's not based on anything meaningful. It's just, but then real humility is oh yeah, I'm drowning in illusion and I need help, and I'm living under the influence of my mind and my senses, my ego, and I need help, right? And then also with that comes, as I mentioned, this awareness of others and sensitivity. There's a sensitivity that comes with that too, because you're considering others, right? It can also mean compromise. So the Śrī Upadeśāmṛta mentioned that. He said, I will not be so rigid that I cannot accommodate others. Right? And that means some compromise. there will be a capacity to make compromise sometimes, because it's not just about me and my needs and my perspective, right? But I have to consider others too, even if I'm right. I may be right, but being right, that's not the final conclusion of things. Being right doesn't mean that you're the best, or that that's the best option, whatever. That you have to consider the needs and feelings of others, where they are, right? So this is this is a healthy type of humility. But then there's also another type of humility, which is something that comes in feeling your relationship with the Lord and in the development of love for the Lord. That you will feel more and more the Lord and the great devotees. You will feel when you're in front of them, oh, this is something so great, and I feel small. That was something we felt in front of Srila Govinda Maharaj, and it was such a wonderful feeling, actually. You didn't feel like you're small and insignificant, you don't matter. You felt like you were small and insignificant, but it was actually so wonderful at the same time. And we would be so happy to clean his toilet or iron his clothes or wipe the floor that he walked on. We would compete over being able to do that. That was the type of presence that he had. That we were also, what I'm saying is that we would all be so happy to do the smallest service for him, because he was so great, he was so extraordinary. So there's this smallness that you feel, sometimes the analogy is given like standing in front of a mountain. You're standing in something very big and very beautiful, and you feel your smallness, but it's not a bad feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. And I'm just one insignificant speck in this wonderful creation. So as our relationship with the Lord and the higher Vaishnavas develops, that is a type of humility that will grow in us too. And one way, so the way Srila Śrī Maharaj describes that is proximity to greatness. It is the outcome of proximity to greatness. That humility is born out of that.
You think the adjusting can be a form of humility?
Yeah. Adjusting according to the needs of others, right? Putting aside our own, desire, preference, and accommodating others. So being able to adjust. Not being stuck on no, this is the only way, right? And sometimes we will see that tendency within ourselves, right? Like maybe you're having a disagreement with someone, and at a certain point you think, hang on, maybe I'm wrong. But then there's a temptation to just stick to your point, right? Because of your ego. No, I can't admit, I gotta win this one. I already said this, There's a temptation, right? In the mind, you're oh, hang on, I'm wrong, but I'm not gonna let you know that, because I have to, I have to stick to what I said. I have to be right, even if I'm wrong.
Bimal Krishna is sending his dhanavats.
Dhanavad, Bimal Krishna Prabhu, we miss you so much here.
Also Nila from Portugal, right? Nila Thondi?
Oh, that's Mauritius.
Yeah, Mauritius. Oh yeah, Mauritius. Yeah, profile picture. Yeah. And then Rasananda from Russia.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna ask with following question that Vikeshava mentioned, adjusting could be humility, or it is humility. How can we do that in a way where it's also healthy for ourselves and we're also nourishing ourselves in the act of honoring others?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. I would say it depends on on individual circumstances, right? Because yeah, there is a gray area there, isn't it? Because it can go the other way too, like, you know, being a doormat, right? And just doing whatever others say, right? That probably most of our devotees struggle more with that, right? But that's actually another type of ego. You know, sorry to burst your bubble. That's another type of ego, actually. That you feel inferior, you know, in some way, and you know, that's a type of low self-esteem, right? So, yeah, I think having like just a view of like what are my actual needs, and you can remove your ego out of it, but just like a medical examiner, you know, or a psychologist, you know, like just look honestly at yourself, like what are my actual needs? Like in order for me to progress in a wholesome way, like what do I need? You know? And then you may need to just assert that. And that may mean opting out, you know, sometimes. You know, like you can try and search for the path of least resistance. You know, like what's going to create the least disharmony or the least conflict, right? What's the most sensitive way? And you know, one thing, very important thing, which I've learned is that you can actually say almost anything, but it's just about how you say it, right? It's just about how you say it, you know. And when you say it, that may also be a factor.
I've been studying for the past 6 months.
What did you say?
How to say things. And I have a questionnaire, and they prove my advancement in how to say things. And I struggle like crazy. This way, that way, no, this way, no. And then suddenly, I'm learning the simplicity of responding in small sentences and very accommodating to everybody. It's not anymore like it's about me. It's about how to harmonize with everybody and make it inclusive.
Yeah, we did one of those tests. I tried one of those tests.
So
Yeah, it's like an AI thing that will like rate your answer, like according to how to be sensible to, like sensitive to the situation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It'll give you like a situation, and
really?
you have to.
I used to go for like 20 minutes, and the AI say, "Wow, you've been very rude." And then don't get frustrated.
But yeah, I mean, I think it, you know, yeah, it's just how you handle it, isn't it? And you can consider everyone's feelings, because that's important. Like you can consider everyone's feelings, because the problem arises when you don't consider others' feelings. You can consider everyone's feelings, but then decide, oh, but I still need to do this, right? And you can express that, like I appreciate. This is your position, and this is how you feel. I respect that, you know. But this is where I stand, you know, and this is just what I have to do, right? And people appreciate that, and that will diffuse like tension, like just knowing, like making them feel understood, like that makes a huge difference, isn't it?
Pretty much that's what the exercises say.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But remember, be firm and accommodate.
Okay. Yeah, there's this one woman, Brene Brown, I think she's quite famous. I don't know if some of you heard of her. But she did this study on empathy. And it's like a social study. And what she did was she interviewed people who are considered like the most empathetic. Social workers and charity workers, psychiatrists, and all these kinds of things. And like just kind of working, like trying to figure out like how they work, how they think, And these are people like who've given their whole lives to helping others. And she found something very interesting, that the persons who were the most empathetic, they were also people who set the clearest boundaries. Like very clear boundaries. Like you're here and I'm here and there's a boundary and this is how we communicate, this is how we interact, and we don't cross these boundaries. They were very firm about that. And I found that so interesting. Because having that space actually enabled them to be more empathetic. Right? And in a way that was healthy and wholesome and progressive, right? Because, helping someone can sometimes make them worse, right? If you're just like giving them what they want, Like if you really want to help someone, sometimes you need to make a boundary, like this is not okay. You shouldn't be doing this, and don't call me until you stop that. I think that may be the best way to help someone. Like we're not going to be friends until you can drop that, or this is how we communicate.
But that's saying the same. The word is full of good intentions. When we have this thing about
well, they say that one expression is the path to hell is paved with good intentions. That's one expression. With all the good intentions in the world, you can actually be doing something, very unhelpful and taking you and others down the wrong path. There was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. But and we have certain important reference points too, right? What is basic right and wrong? What's good? What's bad? What are the teachings of our gurus? What does the scripture say? How do I feel? How do they feel? Like we have certain reference points, and we can consult all of these in deciding what's the best way to deal with the situation. And so there has to be a degree of honesty. There also has to be awareness of how much can we live up to, because we may also just need to be aware of our own limitations, right? And say, well, I know this is the real standard. Like I know my Guru Maharaj says this, or the scripture says this, but I'm not at the level of being able to do that right now, and I'm sorry. Srila Śrī Maharaj has that beautiful expression: judge a person according to their ideal. So I have this high ideal, and that's my real standard, but I may not be able to live up to that right now. And so, please excuse me. So I think it's just all about like how you handle it. Like one thing that's coming to my mind now is this one case. It was I've mentioned this a few times, but one of our devotees, he used to give a weekly class in one of our temples, and there was someone in the audience who would always like kind of interrupt and also interrupt in a way that wasn't relevant to the discussion, and so it was something quite irritating. And so this is going on week after week, month after month, year after year, and the devotee who would give the class, one day he just exploded. He like just walked out of the temple space, like shouted at that person, like went down to the basement, and like it exploded into this huge thing, And so it's interesting, right, to look at that, and I love that person, by the way. I don't mean to criticize. I'm sure I've done similar things before, some way or another.
I don't think so.
But moments when you just have a mini explosion, it might just be with one, it may not be public. In this case, unfortunately, it was quite public, probably recorded too. But it's just interesting it's like an interesting case study, because he was this person was like forcing himself, like, oh, I just have to tolerate. But actually, he didn't have the capacity to tolerate. And then finally he explodes, and it all gets 100 times worse. It upsets everyone. The whole temple is going to be disturbed, and that person's going to be really upset. So he could have earlier on just gone to that person quietly and said, you know what, I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but it really bothers me that you do this, and maybe like after I talk at the end, then you can have space to share something. Let's work this out together. Like it could have been handled like that, right? Like if he had a realistic assessment of his own limitations and dealt with it in that mature way, then the whole situation would have been fine. No conflict, nothing. So that could be an issue, right? That we can like overestimate ourselves, right? And try to do something that we actually can't, and then everything just falls apart or gets much worse. So yeah, to have that awareness of what we can do, what we can't do, and to see the bigger picture, to consider everyone's feelings, and again to consider first and foremost, what is the shabda? That means like the divine word, and can I live up to that? And all, considering all these things, right? And then in a sweet, humble mood, sensitive mood, conveying that, right, to the persons involved. Right? So yeah, again, Trinada, peace, Niche, humility, tolerance, respect. If we're following those principles, we can do pretty much anything. There, we have this one verse. It's by Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. He was an associate of Mahaprabhu, an amazing poet. But he has this one verse, and Saraswati Thakur said, "This is our preaching style." And in the verse, he's saying, he's describing the situation of someone, of a Vaishnava, like approaching someone in the world and trying to share the message with them. But he says it in this, his approach is very careful. And he says, it's Dante Nidaya Chinakam Padayo Nipatya. He Sadava Sakalam Eva Vihaya Dora. He's saying like, I'm in the Vedic culture, there's this symbolism of having straw or grass in your mouth. It's like a symbol of humility. Because the idea is like the grass is low on the ground, and you're putting that, like saying I'm very low, like the grass. So you see it, this imagery sometimes in Vaishnava poetry, like with straw in my mouth, or like Trinada, humble like a blade of grass, right? So it's saying like I'm taking a piece of grass in my mouth, and I'm coming to you, on my knees, and I'm saying to you, hey Sadhava. That means like Sadhava means like a very respectable gentleman, like a sadhu, and I'm very respectfully speaking to you, addressing you. And then what is he saying? Like when he tells him, he gives his message. Hey Sadhava Sakala, like everything that you know, throw it far away. Chaitanya Chandra Charane Kurutamanangam, something like that. And just take the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya. So I'm coming to you like on my knees and folded hands. Oh, most noble, respectable person, I have a message for you. Everything that you know, please throw it away. Take shelter of Mahaprabhu. know, like, it's not this aggressive mood, like, you're an idiot. You know, like, you could say it like that. You could translate that as, you know, you're an idiot. You don't know anything. Like, just go surrender to Mahaprabhu. Like, you could say it like that. You know, I'm your instructor. I'm going to tell you how it is. Like, you're nobody. You ain't got nothing. You don't know nothing. Just go over there and, you know, wash the pots, okay? For Mahaprabhu. But in this very, like, humble, respectful way, it's coming. So that's how we try to operate, right? And that will ensure smooth passage. Harmonious dealings with the environment. And we don't have to waste our energy with too much, you know, conflict and resistance and all these things. So it's all about how you say it, right? And honor, you can still honor others, right? Honor them and their feelings, their position.
Well, music, like in music, everything was pure. One of the used to have the major, you know, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and then they introduced the dissonant and the devil chord, you know, and so to create an interesting situation. So in life, we need to learn how to harmonize because it's not all so.
Yeah, yeah, it's an art, isn't it?
It's an art.
It's an art.
Yeah. So how are we gonna deal with the dissonance?
Yeah, like that, right? With sweetness, humility.
It helped to be the good association with the Vaishnavas, because with like this class or this reunion, it creates this harmonious capacity in educating the wild mind. And say, yes, I'm not dismissing you. I just want you to get with the program.
I respect what you think, you know. But this is the program. So yeah, that keeping that firmness, right? Keeping those boundaries at the same time, right? Now it's getting late. Bimala Didi, any final words of wisdom? Bimala is the master.
She really is.
Word of wisdom, but I think one thing that may synthesize it all, you just think of Gurudeva, look at Gurudeva, say, Gurudeva, please, you handle this.
That's a good one too.
What to do? Please, Gurudeva.
Yes.
I'm just an instrument, you handle it.
Yes.
Especially doing airport, that was so, it became so second.
She used to collect in the airport. Oh, you know about it.
I do that.
Okay.
It become like a second nature. Each situation I say, okay, Gurudeva, you handle it. And sure enough, he would give it. I mean, I'm not saying it like it seems like I'm assuming something, but I could see. I say, well, this is Gurudeva's dealing. Not Gurudeva was talking to them, but some insight came, and all of a sudden things were, as all those things that you said, it was there. All these ingredients that we have to learn, then we say it, but it was automatic, like a current, dara, zoom. Automatic, like a lightning in the days that rain. So yeah, so that relationship with the Lord, with Gurudeva, if we pray with sincerity, that we not like not saying it, but feeling really, my dear Lord, you are always with me. I think you can help. Or any other situation, because that's Gurudeva, practical, present with us. we are reading his books, but then something comes. And how I am going to connect Gurudev with that something which I read in the scripture, in his books. And that comes, Gurudev said, sincerity is invincible. And we don't have the sincerity, but we humbly, with the straw now, we humbly pray, Gurudeva, please be with me always. I said, Gurudeva, please don't go away, please stay here. Be with me. I know you are here, but I'm just, be with me, please, like that. And sure enough, and that is really, really very, very important. I see for me, it's everything. And to make it that not that we want to make it spontaneous, but to be spontaneous. That is one thing that comes by grace. And it becomes by being the crying baby. We never say crying baby. Like the baby doesn't cry, mother says, oh, he's okay, but yeah, if you want something. So crying baby to Gurudeva, say, dear Gurudeva, please be here. I really need your blessing. Really need it. Not just saying it sounds beautiful, but desperate mood. Desperate mood is very good. It's not that desperate mood we see in the material world. That desperation is not, but the desperate mood for what is really our inner self, what really is, what we really are. That desperation is good. It's going to help us. So I see all what she said, it is that way, and then you can quickly, like a lightning, bing, Gurudeva, please, you can do it.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, Bhima, and that's a very important point, that's ultimately what we have to do, just offer it up, right? And also, there can be this tendency we have to need to fix things, and sometimes it's like you don't have to do that, just let it be. And then there's that wonderful expression that our Gurudev, he put up on his wall, Sahasa Vidadi Tana Priyam, which he rendered as wait and see. And he specifically mentioned this is for conflict. Wait and see. Like you don't have to rush for a solution, right? And you can pray, right, to Guru and Garanga. What is your guidance here? What is your solution to this? And just wait. And I there were a number of occasions I've heard of when our Gurudev did that. Like for example, one of our Gurudev's personal servants mentioned, for example, our Gurudev got a phone call from someone in some community, saying, oh, this problem and this devotee and this fight and this is going on. Please, Gurudev, help, do something. And then the call ends, and our Gurudev just let it be. Didn't do anything, didn't make any phone calls. And then a few days later, that same devotee called him, oh, Gurudev, everything's okay now. Gurudev would resolve things like that, just by not doing anything, just waiting, to see how it would resolve itself, So that's another thing too. Of course, all these things are dependent on the specific nature of the situation. Anyway, Bhimalaji, that was so beautiful to share. So
I really like that also. The teaching at wait and see. Yeah, that is it helps us so much. You just read it and then say, no, wait and see. Okay, wait and see. And that wait and see, it doesn't mean it's going to be a long time. Wait and see can be just a response right away, and that interval you give already is readjusting, rearranging.
And existing every moment is new. So if we get attached to one moment, nothing will be resolved.
Yes. Yes. All right, well, it's getting a little late now. Prabhu, do you want to sing? Hariharaya Krishna?
Yeah, sure. Hariharaya Nama Krishna Yata Bhaja Namaha
Hariharaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hariharaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hariharaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Radha Madhusudana. Gopala Govinda Radha Madhusudana. Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohana. Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohana. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Naratara Sivasari Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Naratara Sivasari Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raghunatha. Jaya Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raghunatha. Sri Bhagopala Bhakta Kasa Raghunatha. Sri Bhagopala Bhakta Kasa Raghunatha. Vishare Gosai Kori Charana Vandana. Vishare Gosai Kori Charana Vandana. Jaja Hoite Visnana Avista Purana. Jaja Hoite Visnana Avista Purana. Vishare Gosai Charan Bhumita Rajasa. Vishare Gosai Charan Bhumita Rajasa. Rasamara Pada Kerum Mora Panchagra.
Joy.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Joy.
Harinam Sankirtan ki
Joy.
Yeah.
Guru
Hare.